In the third video, we have discussed the issue of old schools of thought in psychology. Now I will proceed my explanation about modern school of thought. The modern school of thought in psychology can be classified into six categories, which are psychodynamic, behavioral perspective, humanistic perspective, cognitive perspective, biological perspective, and finally, sociocultural perspective. When we observe the psychodynamic perspective, this perspective has originally formulated by Sigmund Freud, who was a known psychoanalyst. It emphasizes the unconscious dynamics such as inner force, conflict, and instinctual energy. The psychodynamic approach emphasizes the influence of unconscious mental behavior on everyday behavior of an individual. Second, the role of childhood experience in shaping the coming years' adult personality and adult behavior. The role of interpersonal conflict, which determining human behavior, and the attempts to dig out the surface of our personal behavior to get into unconscious motive. Moreover, the psychodynamists think of themselves as archaeologists of our mind. So generally, the psychodynamic focuses on mind, unconscious conflict, and unconscious behavior, and how far unconscious behavior can determine an individual behavior and future life of a child. The second modern school of thought is behavioral perspective. This perspective emphasizes the role of learning experience play in shaping the behavior of an organism or an individual. Besides, it is concerned with how the environment can affect the person's activity or actions. And also, the behavioralist perspective focuses on the environmental condition. Environment can affect our behavior, our activity, and our personality. Especially rewards and punishments have their own advantage to maintain or to discourage specific activities or the behaviors of the individual. On the other way around, the behavioral perspective consider human mind is a black box. They believe that mind doesn't have any value in their explanation. Rather, the environment has a lion's share contribution for human personality. So the behavioralists are only interested in the effects of the environment, the inputs, and finally the outputs. They do not focus on the process inside the box. So the behavioralist perspective believed that human behavior, human personality, or characteristics are mainly determined by the environment rather than the mind or the internal process of our mental activity. The third one is humanistic perspective. This perspective doesn't focus on the unconscious part as well as the environment. Rather, humanistic perspective emphasizes the uniqueness of human being and they focus on human value and subjective experiences. So according to the humanistic perspective, human behavior, human characteristics, human feeling, human personality would be affected by human values and the experience they would be subjected for. This perspective places greater importance on the individual's free will Human behavior, human characteristics would be gradually modified whenever they have shown a certain willing or a certain involvement in a certain thing. That is their belief. Lastly, the goal of humanistic perspective believes that or focuses that helping people to express themselves, their creativity, and achieve their full potential or self-actualization. If an individual has a will or an interest, he can achieve his self-actualization and uses full potential. So when we conclude the humanistic perspective focuses again and again on human will, human interest, human feeling, instead of focusing on the environment as well as the internal part of our mind. The other perspective is called cognitive perspective. This perspective focuses on what goes in people's mind or head, how people reason out, how people remember things, how people understand different language, how they solve problems, how they explain their experience, and develop or organize belief. This perspective is concerned about the mental process. Mainly, cognitive perspective focuses on the mental process. They don't worry about other variables. Rather, they believe that human behavior, human characteristics or personality can be directly or indirectly shaped by mental process. So the most important contribution of cognitive perspective has been shown how people thoughts, how people think, and explanations affect their action, their feeling, and their choice. Hence, we can understand that human actions, human feelings, and human choices are directly or indirectly determined by our cognitive or our mind or our thinking level. That is the standing point of the cognitive perspective. Finally, cognitive perspective employs different techniques to gather information. These are electrical recording of brain activity, electrical stimulation, and radioactive systems are some of the methods they use to collect information with regarding to mind or mental activity. The next one is biological perspective. The biological perspective focuses on studying how body events or bodily activities and functions affect our behavior, our feeling, and our thought. One of their emphasis is our body, our physical structures can affect our behavior, our feeling, and our way of thinking or thought. It embraces that, or it holds that brain and various brain chemicals affect psychological processes such as human learning, human performance, human perception of reality, and the experience of their emotion. The brain chemistry can affect also those things I have listed out. This perspective underscores or emphasizes the biological and the behavioral interaction in a complex way. Biology affects our behavior, and our behavior can affect our biological arrangement or our biological body. It also emphasizes the idea that we are physically beings who evolved over a long time, and genetic heritage can predispose us to behavior in a certain way. In a manner of that, our eyebrows evolved to protect our eyes, we may have evolved certain kinds of behavioral pattern to protect our bodies and ensure the survival of our life or any species in the world or in the globe. So from biological perspective, we can understand that, or we can realize that the genetic, the hereditary factors, the biological factors have prominent importance for our personality, our behavioral change, or our activities, or our feeling. So they believe that nature, genetic factors contribute a lot for our personality formation and behavioral modification. The last school of thought in the modern school of psychology is socio-cultural perspective. It is a combination of the society as well the culture. According to this perspective, social and cultural factors affect our behavior. That is the issue. For example, they believe that a fish cannot live without water because water is the means of the survival of a fish. Likewise, human behavior cannot be understood without socio-cultural context. The social and the cultural environment are the place where we human beings are swim every day. Without social interaction, without culture, our behavior, our survival would be questionable. So the society and the culture are important for our personality, our behavior, and our character formulation and development. For example, social psychologists examine how group membership affect our attitude, our behavior, why authority and other people like wife or husband, spouse, lovers, friends, bosses, parents, and new strangers affect each other. These people, like our wife, our friends, our lovers, our immediate bosses, our parents, can affect our behavior. We learn from them and we can modify our behavior according to our observation. They do have their own influence. So cultural psychologists also examine how our culture or cultural rules, regulations, and values affect our behavior, our feeling, our emotion. This perspective holds that humans are both the product and the producers of culture, and our behavior always occur in some cultural context, directly or indirectly. Social culture, the society as well as the culture would contribute for our behavior, our characteristics, and our personalities. These are the three important schools of thought which are currently existing in the world, and they are contributing too much for the field of psychology. This is what I have about the modern school of thought in psychology. Next time we will see